everybody, it's Jamie here. This is my first go at a video blog. I decided to do this because it has been, the last couple of weeks have been like crazy with work and projects and everything going on and weather changing and different things being kicked into action. So I didn't really have a lot of time to think about writing anything this week. And again, everybody was really swamped. So the big reason for me doing this blog, this video blog, is on communication. Granted, I am not a professional on this topic at all. I always tell everybody the story that a year ago, I would have never thought that I would be doing a blog, putting myself out there, speaking more to people, being in front of the camera. I was, on the news a couple of times, which was like really out of Jamie's way of being, pretty shy for the most part. So within the last few months, I've come out of my shell and put myself out there a little bit. So this is all really new to me. So again, I'm not a professional with this, obviously. I'm sure there's like a more standard or by the book way to do this. But hey, this is me. 100%. This is how Jamie is. This is how I am in person. So communication is a huge problem, I think, for a lot of people, me included. I think I'm a good communicator, but when I see other people that are really good communicators, I'm like, wow, you really suck. You need to get better at this. So this vlog is by no means me giving advice. I think it's just me talking about some issues that I see personally and professionally and my issues. So maybe next time I can have somebody who is a communications expert and we can have a little chat, on video for everybody to see, because I think this is a big issue with a lot of people. My issue with communication is, like I said, I'm a bit, I fear, I guess, a little bit of speaking what I think. In meetings, I kind of take a back seat and listen a lot. And if there is something that I don't agree with, I kind of keep my mouth shut a bit about it. And that's another issue too, is like conflict, but we'll get into that. But I don't communicate very well in a group setting or one-on-one what my views are, which is, a big issue in, our world of community development, because, everybody has very strong opinions. I mean, I have strong opinions too, but I fear that I will be wrong in voicing those strong opinions. But, attending a couple of meetings that I have recently where people, were speaking their mind about things, and people said, no, that maybe not right, but here's another way to look at it. Like, I thought that was great, but in my mind, if that was me in front of a whole bunch of people being kind of shut down, I would be like taking it very personally. And that's another issue that I have. So, once you let that go and that whole taking things personally, I think it'll probably be a lot easier for me to speak up and communicate what my thoughts are and be confident and, hey, I may be wrong, but, I may be right, and they may want my point of view on this. And that's important for people to have, is, different points of view, different opinions, because, not one person is right all the time. I've come to that conclusion. Um, so there are a couple things that I've noticed in, talking to different professionals about communication in the workplace and the communication barriers that they have. And I've experienced almost all of these on both sides. So the first one is lack of clarity. I'm so guilty of this. I have a problem really getting the words out that are like in here, but they're not coming out right. I know what I'm saying, but it's just hard to give that to somebody else. I'm a lot better on email because I can organize my thoughts a little bit more. I work in outlines and lists. So when I'm talking to a group, if I don't have a PowerPoint, chances are you're probably not going to understand what the hell I'm talking about because it just goes. It's like, yeah, Jamie's talking about one thing, but oh, here we go. Let's go over here and talk about this. And wait, we'll come back to that. So again, looking at a PowerPoint and communicating that way really helps me. Like I said, writing emails, that helps me a lot. Chances are, if you're getting me one-on-one, it's kind of like jumbled. So that's a thing that I really need to work on. And I would love to talk to somebody about how I could be better at verbally getting my thoughts and ideas clearly out to the audience. I'm sure there's more to that, but that's just my professional, personal experience. Inconsistency. This is big time for me. Inconsistency of communication for me is a big issue. Even across, organizations, who's talking to who, who's the point of contact on this, and three people might be a point of contact on one thing, and how do you effectively manage something like that and be consistent and give your message in an organized, consistent way to your audience? I mean, what's the answer to that? What is everybody doing? What is everybody's experience with that? I would love to hear back on that. Language differences. I don't really have a huge issue with this right now. I'd love to hear everybody else's experience with that. I don't deal a lot with folks that speak different languages, but I would like to. But if I come across that, how do you handle that? How do you do that? So I'll throw that out. And if anybody, has somebody that's a professional on that, hey, definitely contact me. We can chat about that as well. Not enough listening. That's a big one. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and they have totally just went somewhere else and just floated away? I know that happens to me a lot, mainly because me and my former colleague now, she works for another nonprofit agency, had conversations about being present and being available in like a meeting, like your focus is there. I know it's hard, but I've been really working on this, and this is something I struggle with a lot because I do have ADHD. If you haven't noticed, it's like, squirrel, glitter. I see glitter. That's it. As you can tell by what I just did. But not enough listening. Getting back to that. And, you're in a meeting and you just see somebody just zone out and they're just like in some other zone. That is probably me a lot of the times because I have a lot on my mind. I have a lot on my plate. You're just like, oh crap, I better write that down or I'm going to forget to do it. I mean, I'm completely guilty of doing that in meetings. Like a word will trigger me and I'm like, oh, no. I really need to write this down. So, you end up not listening and writing something down that has to do with something else. So I think that is being present and really giving your attention to where you're at in the conversation is so important. And listening in general, I mean, be an active listener, just not hearing, like taking notes and thinking of questions and jotting questions down as they come, so you have your opportunity when the time is right to ask the question. I see a lot of people getting interrupted and it's not appropriate, and people jump in, and it is what it is. But I'm a real stickler for waiting for that moment to for your turn to ask the questions, to make the comments. Because I could throw sorry, I'm going to drink some coffee. Because I can throw somebody off too when they're speaking. I mean, I know it does to me. Like, if I'm speaking in front of a group and there's even a sound, I'm like, crap, where's my train of thought now? Like, where am I at? Where am I going here? So that's a big thing I think that we all need to be a little bit better about, is listening and being present. Nonverbal cues. This is such a problem for me, and I don't know if this is the problem for anybody else. I've been in community meetings before, and, I feel really bad for doing this sometimes. So if somebody is speaking that, about something I don't agree with, it's very hard for me to control my facial expressions. And I've been caught in that before. Like, I've been called out on rolling eyes and making faces and, all of the nonverbal things that just you need to control as a professional. And a lot of people are guilty of it. I've witnessed it. I'm guilty of it. And it's just being more aware of what you are portraying non-verbally. And just, exactly, pay attention. Like, control the eyes. Think of something positive. Be like, oh yeah, this is a great opinion. It's not my opinion, but it's still somebody else's opinion. I have to be accepting of that. It's, it's the professional thing to do. But yes, I have been called out on that before. It was super embarrassing, and I felt really bad. So that was a lesson that I learned. Still happens. I still see it happen. So just to throw that out there, definitely be aware, because, I know if I was speaking and I saw somebody roll their eyes at me, I'd probably feel really crappy. So, it's already hard to voice an opinion or speak in front of people or anything without having that negativity bounce back on you. So, so those are the 5 most common communication barriers that we're finding in the workplace. Also, personally, I mean, if you can go down the list in your personal life, I'm sure these have been a problem as well. So I think everybody can take a few minutes and go through these communication barriers and, figure out what they can do better and identify what they have done wrong and try to fix it. I mean, you're never going to be perfect at it. I mean, that's life, but definitely pay attention a little more. I know we have a lot of stuff going on in our heads and just professionally, personally, but definitely pay attention to your audience and their nonverbal cues, their feedback to you. Take your time. I mean, like I said, I rush through things just because that's just who I am. I know I need to be better at reading things all the way through and not assuming what's going to happen later on, and whatever I'm reading, you have to read every word, especially, contracts. That's a big thing. Recently, I've been, I just got my real estate license in October, and, we were going through a mortgage contract, and I completely missed a whole paragraph on liens and how that this bank was going to lien all of these properties. And that was something that was not agreed upon. And, we just have to take our time and read through things and pay attention and pay attention and pay attention and speak up. Like I said in the very beginning, definitely if there's a question, you should question it. And I've learned, and that is the most valuable lesson, I think. So we have a Quora fellow, Kyle Miller, we've had for, almost 9 months now. And he wrote he was the guest blogger last week, and he has taught me so much. He has taught me to ask why. And that's something that I really never did, like questioning. Like, we should question things that we're not comfortable with. And I really want to work on that. So thanks to my Kyle for helping me, learn a little bit more about, communicating and questioning. Like, why not ask why? Can't hurt, right? It gives more clarity, back to clarity, So, for the sake of time, and I'm sure you guys don't want to listen to me for another 20 minutes, there are ways that we can fix some of these things, and I've mentioned them, but I'm going to put these inside of my blog and type them up. So if you need some advice or information on ways you could fix some of these things, but I think it's very simple. I just think it's just pay attention, take your time, be cognizant of what's going on around you. Ask questions, ask why, just be an active listener. So, it's as simple as that. But I do want to update everybody on this thing is amazing, and it's backwards. You can't see it. It's 300 writing prompts. I said on my Easter blog that I have been writing this, and they ask you some really, really great questions. Like this one, for instance: what area of your life do you tend to enjoy in excess instead of moderation? Probably drinking. That's why it's called Communities and Cocktails, right? No, but for real, this is a really great question. And then there's another one that's really cool too. Write about 3 realistic goals you would like to achieve in your lifetime. Realistically, I have a ton. Non-realistically, I would love to be a millionaire. I'm sure everybody would, but However, my realistic goals could make my what seems to be an unrealistic goal happen. If you work hard and you kick ass and you keep going, and you might be a millionaire. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Only if you win the lottery, but the chances of that happening are like tiny. So yeah, if you ever see this, the 5 below, get it. It's really great. It really makes you think, and maybe it could help you with communication as well. Just a thought. But thank you all for following and listening and supporting me. And I promise these will get better. I promise. Again, I'm just learning all of this, and I'm just so glad that everybody's enjoying it. So. I'm always looking for guest bartenders, guest bloggers. So if you're interested in doing this, a video blog, writing, whatever, please contact me. I would love to have you. I'd love to meet you if I don't know you already. So, and stay tuned. Sorry. We hope to have our next happy hour in June. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm looking for ideas of places to have it as well. So I'm looking forward to communicating with everybody, and please contact me if you have any questions. Have an amazing Friday. It's gorgeous out. Go outside and play. Go have some porch beers. Do what you do, because I think it's going to get cold next week again. So that's a bummer. So see you all next week. Bye.